So we just saw in the last video the different kinds of vaccines which are possible to be made. So different kind of vaccines, and we also saw that how the vaccination and immunization is taking place in our body. Now we go through the next part, that is antitoxins. So we talked about the antibodies first. Now we are talking about the antitoxins, more appropriately called as antibodies, of course, because the toxins are antitoxins. So one which is working on the toxins are called as antitoxins, and whereas we're talking on the germs, we say antibodies. But because both are going to fight against the bodies which are entered into the body, that's why we call them as antibodies. So the term toxins and antitoxins. Toxin is a general term used for any poisonous substance produced by an animal or a plant or a bacterium. For example, snake venom, stinging poison of the scorpion, insect, etc., or even poisonous chemicals released by pathogens growing inside the body. So, toxins are that particular chemicals or secretions by any plant or an animal, or maybe in our body also. So, those particular chemicals which are poisonous substances produced by a particular organism is called as toxins. Of course, so antitoxin will be what? The one which would kill the poison. So yeah, antitoxin was the name given to any chemical substance produced inside the body to respond to the entry of foreign poisonous substance. So to respond to a toxin, to respond to or to make the toxin render harmless, whatever is the kind of the substances or the chemical which is generated by the body to fight against it is called as the antitoxin. Antivenin for snake bite are produced inside animals like horses. Presently, the more general term antibody is used instead of antitoxin. So yeah, so antitoxins are normally when you talk about venom, venom is a snake bite. So snake poison is venom. So the horse has the capacity to generate antitoxin, antivenin against the venom, and hence the snake bite will never affect a horse. So that's how the antitoxin, that is the antivenin, is going to be produced by the horse. So we can say that presently more general term, that is antibodies, are being used instead of antitoxins. So antibody is the blood serum protein produced in response to the injected antigen. So yeah, any antigen or any particular kind of germ which has entered the body, so to produce any kind of a fighting secretion is called as an antibody. So antibody is the blood serum. It is the blood serum. It is present in the blood plasma. That is the blood serum produced in the response to the injected antigen. Suppose someone has actually got a disease such as diphtheria. In such a case, injecting pre-prepared antibody from some other source is helpful. For this, an antibody containing serum is obtained from the blood of horses, rabbits, etc., in which the disease is artificially produced in a mild form. Treatment with such antibodies is called as passive immunization. So what they do is that they are going to generate antibody artificially in some another animal, and by injecting that particular kind of virus into that body of the animal, and then the body, when that particular animal is going to generate the antigen antibody for that antigen, that antibody is the blood serum of that particular animal is taken and given to the patient for treatment. So treatment such antibodies is called as passive immunization. We had learned that earlier. During passive means just say anti-venom from the horse. Yes, it is the example of passive immunization. Hafkins Institute in Bombay and other institutes in Kasauli are preparing several such anti-sera. Antivenin are treating snake bites is also based on the same principle. Now we see the next thing, and that is antiseptic and disinfectants preventing and catching diseases. So one thing is how you are able to help within the body the antibodies are generated to fight against the diseases. Another thing is how to clean or how to clear off the surrounding around us or our body outer part, so that we are killing the germs present on it. So for that, what we are having is antiseptics and disinfectants to prevent catching diseases. So antiseptics, these are mild chemical substances which when applied on the body kill germs. So we have seen that, array, you use Dettol, okay, you use some kind of a tincture iodine or something. So all, what are those are one which वहाँ पे अगर समय मुझे कुछ लगा है तो I clean that with this Savlon and Dettol and things like that, so that I am not infecting that area and the germs are not entering into the body through that particular area. This is why we put a antiseptic or a disinfectant in areas. So these substances are in such mild concentration that they cause no harm to the skin and body. Lysol, carbolic acid, iodine, benzoic acid, mercurochrome, boric acid, etc. in dilute solution are good antiseptics. Certain antibiotic creams also serve the same purpose. Yeah, we have got many antibiotic creams also, but otherwise the basic chemicals like this, Lysol, the Lysol is not the one which is the phenol type which is available in the market. No, that is, the Lysol is a brand name, whereas here Lysol is a chemical substance. So carbolic acid, iodine, benzoic acid, mercurochrome, boric acid, all these are the examples of the antiseptics which are going to be helpful or which can be a good antiseptic which are going to be used on your body directly. Caution, yes, do not use commercial names for example of antiseptic in your examination answers. Like don't need the names of Dettol, Savlon and Listerine and Sopramycin. All are commercial names. They may have one or the other active ingredient individually or in combination. It is these active ingredients which actually serve as an antiseptic. So antiseptic, so Dettol is the name of, not the name of the antiseptic, it is the name of a company which has got a product, and that product may have some kind of an antiseptic chemical in it. So Lysol, Savlon and all these are, Listerine, all the brand names, okay. The next is disinfectants. These are strong chemical substances that are applied on spots and places where germs thrive and multiply. So you must have seen that you disinfect many area to, so वहाँ पे spread करते हैं, यानी वो जैसे वो mosquitoes के लिए वो धुआं डालने के लिए आता है, to disinfect a certain area nowadays for coronavirus. What they do is they spray that area, so disinfect that area. So all these are area, or they are chemicals which are sprayed in the area and not on humans. They cannot be applied on the skin because they are very concentrated forms and they can harm your body. So they are used only for the surfaces to be clean. So if you want to clean the disinfect a particular area, like the phenyl what we use during the sweeping of the floor, that is also a disinfectant. So these are the disinfectants. These are strong chemical substances that are applied on spots and places where germs thrive and multiply. Commonly used disinfectants are Cresol, Phenol, Lysol, 40% formalin, lime, Bordeaux mixture, DDT, etc. Precaution, all disinfectants are strong and should not come in contact with the human skin. So yeah, that is very, very important to understand that you cannot keep it directly in your hand. You cannot take phenyl and wipe your clothes directly. It has to be diluted into water and then use. You cannot take that thing, or you cannot, if you got hurt, you cannot take that phenyl and apply it on your because for the disinfectant, germ ko maar dega. No, it will harm you much further because they are very strong chemicals. Strong heat and boiling also destroys germs and may be called as physical disinfectants. Deodorants are neither antiseptic nor disinfectants, they are only masking a bad smell. So if you feel that okay, I am using a deo, that deo is going to keep me free from the germs, no, sorry, it is not going to keep you free from the germs at all. They are just masking the bad odor which is going to come from your body in case you are having the bad odor. So that is how deodorants are different from the antiseptic and the disinfectants. So you can easily differentiate between the two, that mild germ killing chemicals are antiseptics, strong germ killing substances are disinfectants. Antiseptic cause no harm to skin and body. Disinfectant may cause harm to skin and body. Antiseptic applied on body, whereas disinfectant applied on spots. Example is iodine in antiseptic and phenol is an disinfectant. Now I come to the next part of the chapter, that is a very small part, which is the antibiotics or penicillin and others. So antibiotics are chemical substances produced by microorganisms and can kill or inhibit growth of other microorganisms. So antibiotics are a kind of the fungus or bacteria, but they are the good ones because they are the one which will not allow other kind of bacteria or the viruses to grow in the body. So the one which prevents the growth of bad bacteria or bad viruses into a body is called as an antibiotic. So antibiotic are, yeah, it is very important, they are very good, they are very important for our body, but at the same time the main problem nowadays is that we are using antibiotics for very small reasons, and that is why it may happen that we may get immune to antibiotics. So it may happen that the antibiotics, हम लोग इतना ज़्यादा कंज्यूम कर देंगे antibiotics in our body that antibiotics will not affect us after a certain kind of a stage. So a stage may come that if we keep on using the antibiotics in a very this kind of manner कि कुछ भी हुआ चलो सीधा antibiotic, instead of taking a small medicine wherein, like if you have got cough and cold, the best thing is to take the steaming or some type of a gargling with the hot water. There is a much better, or maybe max to max Vicks वगैरह लगाना. But taking an antibiotic for cough and cold will be like taking too much for that particular small reason. So such kind of thing needs to be avoided. So antibiotics are good, but if you consume antibiotic in a larger manner, then it would be harmful for your body in future, because when you really require those for fighting some particular kind of disease, at that time your body is already immune to those particular medicines and they will not affect your body, and hence you will be required to take some higher doses of medicines which would harm you much further. Anyway, so that is a separate thing altogether. What we are studying over here is not related to that. What we are seeing over here is antibiotics. Was the first antibiotic, penicillin, was discovered in 1929, but its first use in treating any human disease was tried in 1940. So yeah, in 1929, Alexander Fleming discovered the first antibiotic, that is the one which is penicillin notatum. But the use of the antibiotics for humans took some years to complete, and that's why in 1940 the first antibiotic was prepared. The term antibiotics for such category of drugs was coined later by Salman Waxman in 1942. So in discovery of penicillin, Alexander Fleming, working in a hospital in London, was growing laboratory cultures of the bacterium Staphylococcus and round bacterium growing in the cluster. In 1928, he found that certain unwanted mold penicillin was grown in one of the cultures in a petri dish, and this had inhibited the growth of the bacteria for some distance. Obviously, some substances must have spread from the mold which killed the bacteria up to that distance. Fleming named the bacteria-killing substance released by the mold as penicillin in 1929. In the expectation of this substance to become an effective killer of disease bacteria, it was tried on laboratory animals and showed positive results without harming the animals. So yeah, it was that he had got one particular, he had grown some bacteria cultures, so the bacteria cultures were there, and then one particular bacteria culture was penicillin, which grew in one of the petri dish, and due to that presence, in that particular surrounding vicinity, those bacteria never grew. The other bacteria, the bad bacteria, never grew, giving us the knowledge that these bacteria, the penicillin, was not allowing the growth of the other bad bacteria around it. So that's why penicillin was first antibiotic. So yes, when the laboratory preparations were completed and they were tried on the animals, and they found that the animals were unharmed, and hence was the formation of the first antibiotics. On humans, the substance penicillin was first tried in the early 1940s and was found to be quite effective against several infections. In particularly, it yielded very good results in treating gonorrhea on sexually transmitted disease (STD). Sometimes the physicians in those early days recommended using a combination of penicillin and sulfur drugs under the name pentid sulf. Thereafter, a whole lot of antibiotics such as the streptomycin, chloromycin, aromycin, ampicillin, etc. have been discovered and are being effectively used against many infectious diseases. So yes, it was after 1940 there were a huge amount of antibiotics generated one by one, and they are now very common. Antibiotics are also being used for the preparation of infections before surgical operations. Yes, before any surgical operations, they give the patients antibiotics. Even if you go for a small dental surgery also, you go for a root canal, after the root canal you'll be asked to take some antibiotics so that no infection is going to take place during after the infection is there, after the operation is done, or even before the operation, in case of so that there is no infection available around it, and hence the body is free from infections before the operation takes place. Sources of antibiotics: the molds which produce penicillin in the findings by Flemings was found to be Penicillium notatum. This mold is somewhat similar to the one that often grows in oranges, lemons and other citrus fruits. The commercial production of the penicillin has been largely done from the related species, that is Cryogenum, but it is also being produced synthetically. So yeah, it is largely produced by because penicillin is very similar to the one which is found in the lemon and oranges and all, so that particular kind is similar one. So but nowadays it is also made synthetically, that is artificially. Streptomycin is one of the very widely used antibiotic. This is obtained from the bacterium Streptomyces. So Streptomyces is the one which produces streptomycin. A large number of antibiotics are now made synthetically rather than from culturing microorganisms. So yeah, we got a large number of different kind of antibiotics which are prepared using the process of preparation of antibiotics. So antibiotics like penicillin are made by fungi and other microbes. They play a very important role in medical treatment of illnesses. So this is the thing how they are prepared. Now the uses of antibiotics, we first find primarily the antibiotics find a wide use in medicines to fight infections. So yes, see, the main difference about in an antibody and antibiotic is that antibody is specific for one particular kind of a germ, whereas antibiotic, they are having a wide variety. You must have seen that many times it happens that किसी को पेट में दर्द हुआ तो भी डॉक्टर will prescribe you mox. If तुझे दांत का सर्जरी है तो भी prescribe you mox. If you have got some related to some kind of other infection also, so a same medicine is being prescribed for different kinds of diseases. So that's the advantage of the use of antibiotic, that they have got a wide use in medicine to fight infection. Certain antibiotics are used as food preservatives, especially in fresh meat and fishes. Fresh meat and fish के अंदर ये use antibiotics so that they don't decay while they are being transported from one place to another place. Some are used in treating animal feed to prevent internal infections. So animal feeds also are given some antibiotics so that the animals who are there, which are in the cattle, they are not being affected by the diseases. And finally, some antibiotics are used for controlling plant pathogens also. Antibiotics are also used to protect the plants. So plants के pathogens के लिए भी they are using antibiotics. So you may be curious to know that how antibiotics kill the germs. Here are two examples. Penicillin interfere with the cell wall formation and hence the bacteria are unable to grow and multiply. So this is what they do. The penicillin does not allow the virus or the bacteria to grow its cell wall, and accordingly it is not allowing it to divide further. So the growth or the cell division is stopped by the penicillin. where streptomycin binds to bacterial ribosome, which are then unable to synthesize protein, and the bacteria are unable to grow and multiply. So in case of streptomycin, it is going to attack the ribosome, and ribosome we know are the protein synthesizers for the body. Protein नहीं रहेगा तो growth होगा ही नहीं, so that's why cell division and the growth of the body doesn't take place, of the bacteria doesn't take place by the help of streptomycin. Apart from this, there are certain drugs which are called as sulfoamide drugs. So there are sulfur drugs or sulfoamide drugs which were anciently much more prominent, nowadays not used. Since ancient times, man has been trying to discover newer and newer medicines to cure diseases. They tried a variety of plant and animal products, many of which worked well. He also tried various chemical substances, and some of these yielding good results. This is how the kind of treatment, chemotherapy, treatment of the use of chemicals was developed. So yes, different chemicals have been used for different diseases, and that is how the chemotherapy is very famous for the cancer treatment, but yeah, that is the kind of treatment which is done with the help of chemicals. So chemicals related therapy is chemotherapy. A treatment using chemicals is chemotherapy. In 1910, a drug called salvarsan based on an arsenic compound was produced. It killed the germs of syphilis as well as sleeping sickness, but frequently it proved poisonous to the patient as well. So there was one stage in 1910 that salvarsan was a kind of a drug which was used for sleeping sickness, but slowly it was found that it was poisonous even for the patients. Then in 1930, a group of chemicals known as sulfonamide were discovered, which proved effective in many types of bacterial diseases. That is, sulfadizine and sulfonylamide are two such sulfur drugs. These are synthetic drugs and they interfere with the metabolism of bacteria, which are thus killed. So yes, they interfered, these sulfur drugs interfered with the metabolism of the bacteria and did not allow the bacteria to grow, and hence they were very useful. Sulfonamide are now rarely used, and that too in combination with antibiotics for certain ailments. So yes, they are now rarely used. They are not using it because there are much more better medicines available. So along with the antibiotic and that too in combination with antibiotics, they will not use it much. So only for certain ailments, yes, they use it with some antibiotic over here. So that was about the chapter H2 Health. We complete the chapter. Very easy chapter as such. Main parts of this chapter would be the different kinds of immunization, different kinds of local self-defense, and the different kinds of immunity of the body, and the different kinds of vaccines. So these are the main three parts of the chapter which you must know. Whereas the other part, that is the part of the antiseptic and disinfectant, yeah, many times they ask you that part also. Otherwise, quite an easy chapter.